Let's do
Spending
spending time with God.
time with God. Yeah. Where's my mouse? Okay. Okay, let's go with that. Psalm
Okay,
5.
gotcha. Okay, I'm ready to go.
Okay. Whenever you're ready. Oh gosh. Okay, I think.
That's fine.
Oh, bring.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Spending time with God. I know as believers we all should do it. But scripturally, how do we handle and manage our time wisely? We'll talk about this today on the Two Williams podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Two Williams podcast. He's William Quinn,
That's me.
and I'm William Henley. And how are you doing today?
I am good. Today we're going to talk about a topic I think believers do struggle with.
But before we get to this topic, let's have our podcast listeners listen to our sponsor spot. And we're back.
I think this is a topic that we're going to talk about today is very a struggle for many believers. That's spending time with God. As far as time goes, we have busy schedules. We have, some people have families. Definitely work is an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Also exercise and just name it. That's not Bible studying or talking to God. We have that in our lives. So.
Yeah, and I get it. And let me tell you something I have an issue with is, and don't get me wrong, I love God, but it's because He is not here physically. It can be hard to relate to Him sometimes.
Yeah.
And it can be easy to push Him off to the side.
Yeah. I get what you're saying there as far as him not being a physical presence, but more a spiritual presence.
Mm-hmm.
We have that tendency to just, worry about our day-to-day struggles instead of spending time with him. So I get it. I mean, it should be our first priority, even though he is a spiritual being and not a physical being. But just, we live in this world where we're not perfect people. We have lies, we have sin, we have transparency that we can't handle. I mean, things get in the way.
Right. And I am going to do something that I shouldn't be doing on the show, but I'm going to hit my phone because I wrote you something this morning. Today, our guest pastor mentioned something about how we interact with the Father. And it says, our worship is totally based on our understanding of who God is. That just kind of blew my mind. It's so true. I just kind of want to bring up before we get into the topic of quiet time, just want to put a question out there. Is the songs that you sing toward God, seeing Him as a king, a friend, a comforter, how do you relate to God? And this is something I point out to people a lot when I try to walk them through meditations and how to talk to God, because it's like, yes, He is God. You need to have respect for Him, but Jesus Himself uses the word our Father. He sits here and puts man at the same height in relating to the Father as He places Himself. He is Father. He is a good Father. The greatest person on earth is still evil in comparison to God. Right. Once again, this is not coming off of me. This was all in our sermon this morning. Some of this me.
Yeah.
But
you're paraphrasing, which is fine. As long as it doesn't deter from the whole story, it's
Right.
good to go, pretty much.
Right. So anyway, where I'm getting with this is even in our time or quiet time and stuff like that, I'm going to try to tell a brief story. Did I tell this story on the previous episode?
Edit.
Edit.
Okay.
Okay. Not to get too far off the subject, but this is going to be my second detour. I just want to sit here and talk about a story that happened to me at an extreme fundamental church about 3 years ago. And I was sitting here telling these people my story about God speaking to me and his calling and stuff like that. The husband was sitting here like, I'm sorry, but this is a great story. But I said, I just have trouble accepting it. And he said, because, this is how God speaks to us. God speaks to us through his word. And I'm like, well, yes, that is one way God speaks to us. But I mean, he can also speak to us. I said, sometimes God's speaking to me as clearly as I'm speaking to you. He's like, man, he said, I would love to believe that. But he said, I just can't bring myself to believe it. Mm-hmm. I said, Ben, let me ask you a question, which Ben is his name, but you have no way of associating it with anyone. Right. I said, Ben, let me ask you a question. I said, you're going into the ministry, right? And he said, yeah, I'm studying to be a pastor. And I said, well, why are you going into the ministry? I said, are you thinking it's going to make you a lot of money? Do you think it's good for humanitarian needs? He said, I'm going into ministry because God called me. And I said, oh, really? And he said, yeah. And I said, show me. Show me the chapter and verse that says, Ben, I want you to go into the ministry. And his mouth dropped open.
Pastor Robert shared a story when he was doing his From Dream to Destiny series about his mentor pastor, Pastor Owen Griffin, having to be in a tribunal about God not speaking today, only speaking through the Bible. So he brought that same question to the tribunal, saying, who called you to preach? And they said, God. And then he pointed to the Bible, said, show me in the Bible where that was.
Hey, Editor Will here. Sometimes a story either has to be cut out completely or cut short because of any number of reasons. It could be over time, it could give identifying information, could be embarrassing to someone. There's any number of reasons. This story's getting cut short.
Yeah, when I was talking with Ben, I may have had the story in the back of my mind. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we steal from people all the time. So most people don't really have an completely original idea because you've been influenced.
And I think it's natural, to whatever we become influenced of, we, just to borrow a little bit, but give credit to what we were influenced from and, just put our own spin on it.
Of course, we may not always remember, where this idea came from. But anyway, so let's get back onto the topic of daily quiet time. And I came across this verse in Psalm 5, and it says, O Lord, hear me as I pray, pay attention to my groaning. Listen to my cry for help, my King and my God, for I pray to no one but you. Mm-hmm. Listen to my voice in the morning, Lord. Each morning I bring my request to you and wait expectantly. Well, this definitely sounds like a good justification for having a daily quiet time with God and having it in the morning. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I can see, getting up and just listen to my voice in the morning. I mean, that's pretty much specific there. Everybody's morning can be different, I think. It says morning, but some people like to have quiet time in the evening. I like to study in the evening personally, myself, because it's the end of the day. Everything's winding down. There's nothing going on. All the business is done. That's when I like to have my quiet time. That's when I feel at my best. I think that's why I feel God's understandable of where I'm coming from.
I'm going to sit here and prompt you with a question.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts that we need God to help us get through the day, and I need to sit here and come to God first thing in the morning?
It's a loaded question, but I think you're thinking in your head, you're going somewhere with this. But before we do that, here's my thought. I just do a quick, simple prayer, just get me through the day. It doesn't have to be a whole Bible study. That's my personal thing. Mm-hmm. I just ask for God, just get me through the day on a personal level. And then later on in the day, when everything is right, that's when I dig deeper into the Word.
Right.
But I think, well, how you phrase the question, you want to go deeper.
I am pretty much the same thing. It's like, okay, first of all, I'm just going to sit here and say I have horrible sleep apnea. Just getting up is it's hard. Literally, the first things in my head is, God, help me get through this day. This is one of the first thoughts that goes through my mind in the morning. It's like, no, I am not crawling out of bed, opening up my Bible, and having a 15-minute quiet time. It's like, I barely know where I am half the time. It's like I'm disoriented. It's like even after a shower and a coffee and stuff, I'm still not fully there. Why would I want to sit here and go to the most important being in the universe with anything less than my best?
Yeah.
Now, that being said, yes, I need God's help to get through the day. I go to him first thing in the morning and I said, God, help me get through the day. Now, I come to him later in the day, and that is when I'll sit here and study in his word. I'll sit here and bring my prayer requests to him. I'll sit here, and there's times I'll sit down and get on my knees and cry. And this camera's pretty from back here, but you could probably see this. I mean, I got a prayer closet back there. And I have things that I'm for praise, things that are praise and prayer, and then things that's all prayer. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It's like I don't have to sit here and roll over before I've had my shower, before I've had my coffee, grab my Bible before I even grab out of bed, and sit here and it's like, today, I am going to do an exegesis on James chapter 3.
And you know what? I think one thing we're missing from this whole conversation is the subject of grace. God gives us grace. He doesn't give us any legal means to just study in the morning time. We have grace now. He gave that to us when he died on the cross. We can have Bible study and meditation and pray to God whenever, when we are our best, even if it's morning or night. I firmly believe that. So I get where you're coming from, because I know your sleep apnea. I mean, I think because of that, no one's going to be 100% at that time.
Right.
So we got to remember God is gracious and he gives us leeway. Just to reflect on him when we can.
If you're a person who can roll out of bed, grab your Bible, and have an hour, 2-hour quiet time with God, fantastic.
Yeah.
But don't sit here and bash the people who can't do that.
Right.
And the thing is for those of us who can't, we shouldn't be sitting here thinking that we're giving God anything less than or best. God designed us. Going back again to the sermon from this weekend, they said mercy is God showing us grace, knowing how bad we are, knowing why we are that bad, because he does, one, because of the influence, but also because he's designed us, and he still wants to help us and love us.
Right.
I think God realizes we're all different. We need to realize we're all different, which is why, you know what, not everyone can sit here and have that hour Bible study first thing in the morning. But more so than that, it's like not everybody wants to hear contemporary Christian music at a church on a Sunday morning. Not everybody wants to hear hymns. Not everyone wants to sit here and read King James. It's like we have to realize people are designed in different ways, and we relate to God in different ways.
I think another thing also would be helpful, support teams. I like group. I mean, even if it's like once a week, like a group Bible study, like early in the morning, that can be good also. Having that encouragement, to have a Bible study or just to meditate and pray, that is a huge encouragement. And I highly recommend anybody get into a support group and have that accountability and have that reasoning between people and believers in the Lord that, hey, I can do this sacrifice. I can do this discipline of of praying and meditating on God's word and having a quiet time with Jesus every day.
Here's kind of my feedback from this. I had to be at work at 5 a.m. I'm not going to sit here and be going to a men's Bible study or men's prayer before work because nobody else is going to want to meet up at the church at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
If you have the ability to do that, man, by all means do that. I've been in them in the past. They're absolutely great. And even if they're covering topics that I'm sitting here like, this doesn't apply to me, just being in that fellowship and stuff.
Closingly, God gives us grace for us to be humble and just spending time with him, whether it be morning or night. I think if we have those groups, if we have that accountability, we can have a time with God and a meaningful time with God. It just takes time and effort whenever we have it. God understands our schedule, God understands our means, but he also understands our heart that we want to spend time with him. Even if it's just like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day, God gives us grace and he gives us our blessing to whatever time he gives us.
I guess in closing, where I'm going with this is, yes, spend time with God. Sometimes I'll sit here and have a conversation with him while I'm driving to work or whatever. And it's like, I kind of feel bad that it's like, okay, I'm not on my knees and stuff, but you know what? If I was on my knees at that time, I'd probably be dozing back off. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't sit here and call someone on the phone when first thing in the morning. I'm sure my parents would be thrilled if I just sit here and called them up at 5 o'clock in the morning and tried to have a conversation with them. Yeah. It's like, not only am I waking them up, but it's like the concept of, oh, I'm not awake yet either. This is not going to be a productive conversation. Let's spend time with God. Sit time. And you know what? If you have to wake up in the morning and say, God, help me get through the day, and then we're going to come back 2, 3, 10 hours later and do our Bible study, so be it. But put him in your schedule. Man, good topic.
Very good topic. It's a lot of stuff to chew on, so how can we reach those on social media?
So yeah, if you want to reach out to us on social media, I'm on Instagram. William here is on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That's all public. Only my Instagram is public. On YouTube, if you'll sit here and click on the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up and click on that bell icon to be notified when we release new episodes. And if we can get some moderators, I'll turn the comments on, but no comments until we get moderators.
And anybody on social media, when you do reference us, use the hashtag 2 Williams Podcast. That's the hashtag, the number 2 Williams Podcast.
Sounds good. Well, that's another episode in the bag. See you next time.
See you next time. God bless. Take care.
Bye-bye.